Hello, MaryKay Smooth here. I I'm sorry I'm a little late. I did a facial today and I'm just flying in the house from that. So I got to do everything today. I got to do my cleansing and everything. So I might as well get started. So how are you guys doing? I'm having a good day. I went to lunch and I had smothered turkey chops. For those that don't know, a turkey chop is usually the breast. It can be leg cut um, across grain, and they treat it like they season it and dip it in flour and fry it, and then make gravy to go over it. I had smothered. You can have them fried, and they taste really good. It doesn't taste like a pork chop, but it tastes good enough that it can stand on its own. Um, and then I had the facial. So today, and I'm giving a shout out to yesterday's facial, Miss Sherry Franklin of Springfield. So she grew up in the town where I did, and she was around for a lot of the Tammy Terrell and the basketball guys and everything. Um, You guys might not. I haven't told you anything about the basketball guys. Oh, okay. Maybe that's it today. So, so it'll be like a continuation of Daddy and his boys. So like I've been telling you, my dad was a teacher in Newark for 43 years. Mommy's like 30, but Daddy's family, my uncles and aunts, and my couple of my cousins, they did over 250 years of service to the Newark Public School District. And I still have some cousins that are working for the board. So this community, even though now my parents are gone and all my aunts and uncles are gone, uh, from the 50s, which I told you, Daddy, I think Daddy started teaching in 1950. From the 50s deep into the 90s, well, halfway at least into the 90s, my father worked until 94, mommy worked until 96. So they were involved in Newark. And my grandfather, that's my father's father, Reverend B.F. Johnson. He was a pastor of Metropolitan Baptist Church, which was on Prince Street, and now the new facility is almost across the street, catty corner, is on 149 Springfield Avenue. And my grandfather was there 48 years. So the community service in our family runs deep. Preachers and teachers, and we got a couple doctors. Okay, so now I got to let my face dry a bit and then do some of the other deals. Um, but I told you guys that my father, he played sports. He was a football player. That's what he's really known for in college and high school. But he played basketball well, and tennis. And then later on, when he couldn't play any of that anymore, he learned to play golf. And he believed that if you could take a young man or a boy and turn him into a man, you had made a family. Because then that fella could take care of his family and have dignity and and stuff. So Daddy taught his boys in the playground sports, and then he helped them to get a free college education. And his playground was known as the salt mines, and I'm telling you, It's an elementary school, so they had a little dinky gym. But boy, do we have memories in that building, and thank the Lord it hasn't been torn down or anything. There's some changes, but it's still there. Um, and Daddy had a system. I'm sorry, I'm plugging my phone in, guys. He had a system
I am charging.
where you started outside, you were playing basketball outside, and when you got good enough, then Daddy would come, and it was like a deal, honey. He would come to you and say, Maria, you can go to the little gym. And there was this little teeny, it wasn't really even a gym. It wasn't a gym height, real. It was small. It was like maybe a half a court. Not even for today's courts, not even a half. And that was the little gym. And then when you got really good, then Daddy would come to you and he would say, today is your day. You can go down to the big gym. And the fellas, that was so much pride in them for graduated up to the big gym, that whatever position you played, you went downstairs in search of the best in your position, because you were challenging that day. You felt like you were on top of the earth. And I'll tell you, as a little kid watching the guys go up, there's several players that me and my sister watched them get graduated to the big gym, and it was hysterical because they were so happy. The accomplishment, and my father's that he believed that they were good enough to go to the big gym was a thing that really made them happy. I'm sorry, I needed to wipe my nose. Okay. So the big gym, that's where the players were. But because Daddy's players were so good, a lot of colleges, and not, I'm talking about major league colleges like Notre Dame, University of Jacksonville, big schools when they came into town to play in New York in the Garden. They would, on Saturday, they would come and scrimmage in the gym. And it was harder to get kids into the white colleges than the HBCUs. He knew most of the coaches at the HBCUs because he was a coach, a HBCU coach. And my grandfather was friends with the college presidents, were hooked into my grandfather because he was a founding member of the SCLC. Southern Christian Leadership, in case you don't know what that's Ralph Abernathy, Martin Luther King. That's that group of ministers. That was the mostly Baptist ministers that were proactive and involved in civil rights. Because actually, my grandmother went to March on Washington, and my grandmother used to go. They used to have fundraising for Martin Luther King. So his wife, Coretta, was a singer, even though it was like operatic. So was my aunt. My aunt was a contralto, and she had a concert at Carnegie Hall. So Coretta used to sing at the minister's wife events, and my grandmother used to travel to those. And sometimes my sister and my cousin Pat went with my grandmother. I was too little because I'm like almost 7 years younger than my sister, so I was too small for that because she wasn't deep into her teens doing that. And my grandfather was big in the National Baptist Ministers Convention, and actually he was the president of the New England Baptist Ministers Convention for over 20 years. And in the National Baptist Ministers Convention. He was the president of the Home Mission Board after Martin Luther King Sr. held that seat down for a while. So my grandfather had it going on, and my father blazed his own trail and got his own lane in teaching. And to make sure the boys were not in trouble a lot, Daddy used to have them out to our house in Springfield. We have a split level house, so it had a big the den. We didn't have a basement. We had a den. It was big, so Daddy could bring home 35 boys, and we could play records. And then there was right out the sliding door into the backyard. It was a big area. So mommy would cook hamburgers and hot dogs, and so they would have soda and stuff for the boys, and they would come out every weekend for many years. And if we weren't there, we would go places where they played against other teams. And we used to do Bear Mountain. Well, people from this area know what Bear Mountain is, the Catskills. And we used to go to Bear Mountain, and they had a basketball court. And the rule was you could stay on as long as you could win. And when we went up there, they was on all day. It was if you are a basketball fan, you might know who Harlequin Rucker was doing what Daddy was doing here in Newark. He did it in Harlem. And he had because he had access to players, and so from his thing, they grew the Rucker Pro League. If you are from the New York region, you'll know that all of the Harlequin Rucker League was the summer league, and there was pros playing in that. So George Reynolds, one of Daddy's kids, we went to see him play there. And Earl Monroe, Dean Meminger, the Knicks guys were there. While, like DC had the Urban Coalition League. So the DC players that lived in the DC area played in that. And in New York was the Rucker Pro League. And so during the summer, that was some phenomenal basketball to go see. And some of Daddy's players did get to play there. But then in New Jersey, Daddy's playground was where a lot of them came. In fact, there's a couple of stories. If you're middle-aged, you might remember Artist Gilmore. He was a little bit after Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but he was University of Jacksonville. In fact, it was a commercial where it was a Volkswagen Bug commercial, and his head was outside of the roof. We laughed when we saw that. And he came, Joe Black was his coach at University of Jacksonville, and they came to Newark to play at the Garden. And he wanted to, it was Daddy. He asked Daddy, "You got any players?" Well, actually, Daddy did. And he brought his point guard and Artist Gilmore, who was his center. I think he was like 7'2", to the playground. And Daddy had a phenomenal player out of West Side High School named John Snow. Snow wasn't even 6 foot, but he was phenomenal. Phenomenal player. Point guard, phenomenal. And then Daddy had I think Aussie Perry. I think he was out of West Side as well. I think he's like 6'11", And if you like the internet, you can all see Perry. He played in the Israel. He played for the Israeli team, and he lives in Israel. And he tried out for the Knicks. Aussie was very thin, tall and thin, like a bean, but good. So when he didn't get a good deal here, he went to Israel and became a national treasure there. And he lives in Israel now. So Aussie and Snow had to play against this guy Chip. I can't remember his last name. Was the point guard from Jacksonville, and Artis Gilmore. And Daddy was always he always he would find a way to beat you because he was a fundamental, he loved fundamentals of basketball. So he would watch, can you go both ways? You weak on defense. I mean, Daddy could pick it out, right? So Daddy told Snow, he said, reverse roles. You go down low and let Aussie be up on the top of the key. And Aussie had skills. They tore them up, and they were high school. So of course they wanted them, and they tried to, but um, I don't know where Aussie went to college. I can't think. Snow, I think, went to Bethune Cookman, one of the HBCUs, and had a good career there, and then came back to Newark and he worked for United States Postal Service. He was phenomenal, and so was Aussie, and they did good. I mean, Daddy's kids could compete. You wasn't gonna just come in and whoop on them like that. It was never gonna happen. So I know y'all are laughing. Y'all think she's crazy. But to tell you the truth, Daddy's kids had it like that. I'm serious. And so then we had people that would come in from Harlem, Jersey City, a lot of different places. But, they came to the little gym and got cracked. Most of the time they got cracked. And those ones that got cracked good, they kept on coming back and getting cracked more. New York was always a challenge because I told you there was that Harlem Quinn Rucker. His boys were legitimate. Um, but New York has a lot more to pull from, so they would have access to a lot of really good players. While Jersey City and Newark was different, but Newark had Daddy and a couple of his friends were teaching. It's retinol time, y'all. We're teaching fundamental basketball, so Daddy's kids could hold their own pretty much with anybody. You was not gonna. You might beat them here and there, but you wasn't gonna just kill them every time you came. And Jersey City people found that out quickly. And then there started to be other, East Orange, Elmwood Park had a nice league that ran up there. And I remember the summer they had Dave Cowens. He was from the Boston Celtics, really good white guy, legitimate, and a lot of the Dean Miminger, Earl Monroe, Walt Frazier, those New York guys would come over to Elmwood Park and play during the summer. Because that's when they were looking, during the winter, the professional players, they had to, buckle down for their own team. But during the summer, when they wanted to keep in shape and stuff, and they would go places to play. But Daddy would bring the boys out, and it was enjoyable. It was like having a million brothers, and he taught them stuff. And sometimes his way of teaching was a little unorthodox. Like there was a kid, these two boys, they kept fighting every day at school. And Daddy was really getting annoyed because every day he had to separate them. It was a big deal, So Daddy, he took them. He told them to meet him, come to around, to the school around the corner in the after school, and he took them in the little gym. And he had some 30-pound boxing gloves that he put on both of them. You know what I'm saying? 30 pounds. And they were young. They was junior high. So they didn't have no developed body like that. So they swung like 2 times. Daddy told him, you want to fight? Fight. They swung like 2 times. And that was it. Them arms was down at the side, couldn't move. They laughed, fell on the floor laughing, and became lifetime friends from that. But Daddy had to come up with something different. And he would do that. He would come up with some unorthodox way to get the behavior from them that he needed, and to change them if he needed to do that, so that they would become successful. And a lot of his fellas, I'm telling you, coming out of Newark, almost all the young athletes from 1950 through that 94 time frame knew Daddy. A lot of them were his kids. Not all of them, but a lot of them were his kids, especially the basketball players. hmm And actually, at one of the high schools, which is it was Southside High School then. It's near where I live, but it is now called Malcolm X Shabazz High School. There's a young man that wanted to be the coach, and he came to see Daddy, and Daddy helped him become the coach after um, Newark had elected the first black mayor, and this was a white man. He was from Newark though, born and raised. His name was Barry Gimelstob, and he wanted to coach Southside, and Daddy helped him get the job, and he got a nice little chunk of Daddy's kids and was state championship winner for like 3 years in a row. He didn't coach there long because he later went in. He was a teacher, but he later went into his own business here in New Jersey, and it was very lucrative. He did a company named FBR Group, and Barry took care of the boys. That was Daddy's deal. I'll help you get what you want, but I need you to take care of my boys. Don't play around. Um, and Barry did his family and his brother. He played basketball. Jerry Gimelstob, and he worked. He was the assistant coach for Bobby Knight at Indiana when Isaiah Thomas team went to the Final Four. We went to the Final Four, me and Daddy, and Mike Brown from East Orange. We went. Mike Brown ended up going when Jerry got a job as a head coach. It was at George Washington University, and Mike Brown was his first person to sign with him, a center that was from East Orange, New Jersey. And guess who? I was the assistant coach for the girls team at George Washington University for a year. And the good thing was that when I got down there, one of my friends from college, Mickey Apollon, was in her last year at Antioch School of Law. So we shared an apartment, and it was a crazy time because from Iona College, Jeff Rulin, I went to Iona College when Jim Valvano was coaching. I mean, you got to know basketball. Jim Valvano became the head coach later on of North Carolina State, and they won the national tournament. But Jeff Rulin was the player that put Iona on the map for the men's team. and he and Valvano, and then there was some kind of little shakeup, and Valvano moved to North Carolina, and Jeff went. He went in the draft early, and he was playing for the um, the team in Baltimore, and so he was down there, Mike Brown, Mickey, and me, and we had fun. Jeff used to he loved he loved good food, and I could cook. So, and Mike Brown started losing weight, and I could cook. So, man, that is one time we cooked for two 6'10", 250-pound men, me and Mickey, and Jeff's wife came, and the three of us, me, Mickey, and Jeff's wife, sat there, and we oh God, they ate so much. We made like 15 chicken breasts, and then we did 12 that were not disconnected, where it was a double chicken breast, and we fried all of that. We made, a pot of cabbage, and a pot of, Jeff liked mashed potatoes and gravy. He liked gravy. So we made, and they had like, the platter of chicken was on the table, and they had a bowl of cabbage and a bowl of macaroni, and I mean of mashed potatoes and gravy, and I don't mean a little bowl, I mean a bowl. And they drank a 2-liter soda, and we sat there and we couldn't even eat. They would, oh, it was just too much. We couldn't even eat. And then Mickey was famous for a triple layer carrot cake and a triple layer double chocolate cake with chocolate icing. They cut that in half, each one, and they ate a whole cake, a half of each cake, and they had a half a gallon of milk each. We were sitting there going, "Oh my God, are y'all hungry?" It was unbelievable how much they ate. We couldn't believe it, and we didn't eat nothing because we couldn't believe it. Cooking all day, but yeah. And Jeff used to. He was funny when we would go to the Bullets games. We would go into the family lounge with Maureen. That's his wife. And honey, it was a mess. When them players would come, it was a mess. And the families and the wives and the groupies was hanging around. It was a mess. But Jeff didn't get in that because his wife didn't play that. And when she wasn't home, we were his babysitters, me and Mickey. It was hysterical. Those are the times. Okay, guys. I got one more thing to put on, and then I'm done. And I yik yacked y'all to death today. Sorry I was a little late, but I had to. It took me longer to get back, to do it than I thought. And somebody's who's texting me, spammers. So, guys, love you. See you. See you on Friday. We might have company on Friday. Okay. And you know what? I forgot to tell you. Uh, we are going to go to a group. I'm going to start the group. I don't know what I'm naming us yet, but I'll know by Monday. I'm going to start a group, and Chantel is going to come on once a week with me. And we're going to do in that group is where, see, I can't talk prices in a general population ID. So we're going to have to start a group, and then we can do when they have specials and things, we can take care, we can offer, extend some of the specials to you, so you know what's on sale and things. And then we'll have some prizes and some, some drawings and things. So I am going to start the group. By Monday, I'll know. I'll ask God to give me a name for us. And then I'll invite people that are interested in coming in the group will be able to access, like I said, some pricing things and offers and stuff. And the outside stuff, what I'm doing right now, will become shorties. Okay. Because my, the people that I'm sorry, guys, the people that are advising me that do this with Mary Kay, they want me to start a group, a private group, because that's where you can discuss pricing and things. Okay. Thank you. Love you. See you on